Hello and welcome to Mastering Microsoft Excel video series. This is video number 4 where we are going to learn about referencing types, which is a very important and a basic concept which we need to understand if you're going to write even a simple arithmetic expressions or advanced level formulas in Excel. Only if you are confident and clear about this concept, your formula writing journey will be much easier. So let's go ahead and check out and learn this referencing types in Excel. So I'm going to the file which we're going to use for this video, and as usual this file will be there available for you to download. You can download and you can practice along with me, or you can watch the entire video, take the notes, and you can practice later. Yeah, we'll take an example here. First of all, you need to understand the word reference. What is mean by reference? Reference, when I say, it is talking about a cell. So the name of the cell which we are using in the formula. For example, I'm typing 34 in the cell. When I want to use this cell, then definitely I have to refer the cell in my formula. For example, if I want to add a value of 10 with this 34, the way I will start my formula writing is in Excel, the formula will start with equal to, or you can even start with any arithmetic symbols like plus, minus. Excel will not complain about it. The most recommended practice is always to go with the equal to sign. All right. So now once you type, now I want to add 10 to which value? This 34. So I have to refer the cell. So there is a cell which is referred here, and that's why we call it as cell referencing. So whenever you refer a cell in your formula, so when I click on that cell, that cell reference, we call this as cell reference. Now automatically Excel picked up which cell it is. So it is in the G column, 7th row, so G7 plus 10. So when I add it, it's going to do the job. So cell reference means a cell which is referred in the formula. That's all we mean to say. When you refer a cell in the formula, when you write one formula, that is not a big deal. So you don't have to worry about this referencing concept what we are going to discuss. Let us take a situation that you're going to write a formula in a table which you build it. Remember the table what you built last time. So table like that, when you build it and you want to create a column where you want to do calculations between two columns, or calculation of the entire column with a standard value like a tax calculations. So when you land up in such situations where you have to write one formula and you have to take that formula for all the transactions in the table, then you're going to copy and paste that formula for the rest of the cells in your table. So when you copy a formula which is involving a cell reference, how Excel behaves to you and how Excel reacts to your cell references, and what are the changes it do in your cell reference? Is it still the same reference what I wrote in the first formula, or is it going to change? If it is going to change, on what basis it is changing? We need to understand, because in a cell reference, remember, a cell name or a cell address involves two components. First one is the column, which is in this case is the G for golf, and 7 involves the row number. Okay, so let's take the situation here and let's try to understand this. So look at this table what I've shown you here. One column is having the total stocks in the let's say stores or warehouse, and there is a next column which is representing how many stocks we have taken today. So let's say these stocks are stocks of a particular product. It might be a laptop or a food material, whatever is there in my stores, or the raw material. So there is a total stocks is there, and then somebody is taking some volume of the stock. So the question in the last column is, okay, after we took out that stocks, what is left out? So basically I had 1250 stocks. Today they have taken 35 stocks out of it. What's the balance? So literally what we are trying to do here, we have to subtract this 35 from the total stocks. Yeah, so let's write the formula equal to, let me zoom it, equal to, I click on the cell reference which I want to involve in my formula, minus, and I want to click on the next cell reference which is involved in the formula, so which is here B5 minus C5. So when I hit enter, happy, we got the answer. Perfect. Now we need this calculation to be done for the rest of the row in the table. So now I'm going to copy this formula and I'm going to paste it. Okay, so let's see what happens. So when I say copy and paste it, I can copy and paste the formula horizontally. I can copy and paste the formula vertically. What decides that? My table structure will decide it. My report structure which I'm constructing will decide it. It is not necessary that it will be always vertical. It is not necessary that it will always be horizontal. It is purely depend on the way your table is constructed or the report is constructed. Okay. So in this case, it's a vertical table. We spoke about what is vertical table and horizontal table in the last video. People who are joining us directly in this video, you can check out the earlier videos to understand that. Now, this is a vertical table. So let's go ahead and start copying this formula. So when we say copy and paste it, there are many ways to do it. One way, I can just copy this cell. First, select the cell where I wrote the first formula. Control C. So the dotted lines will start running around and I select the rest of the cells. So how do I select it? I can select using my mouse this way, holding my left click and moving down, or else I can click on the next cell of the table and then pressing my shift key and down arrow key one at a time, one by one, I'm pressing it so that it goes up to the last row until which I want to take this formula. So you can do this. If it's a larger one, you can also do by pressing and holding it continuously the down arrow and that's slowly coming back up to the last point. Or there is a much smarter way. If you have the previous column, which is a filled one, in this case, if it's a filled one, or the next column, if it is a filled one, you can do a one interesting step here. Select the first cell of the previous column, the second cell where the equivalent cell where you want the formula to be pasted. So select that cell, control and down arrow so that you come to the last row of your table or your data. Then where you need to move now, where you need the formula, right or the left? We need it on the right. So press the right arrow. I pressed the right arrow once, so I come to the right side. Now all I have to do, now I need to select right from this cell till the top where my formula is there. So how do I do that? Control Shift up arrow, which we learned in the earlier videos. I'm using that same keys again. Yeah. And then now you could see it has selected the cells where I want the formula to be pasted, including the cell which is having the formula. So we don't have to worry. We can simply paste right now by pressing Control V, V for Victor. There you go. We did that. That is copying and pasting the formula. Or else, what's the much more easier way to get the formula and the remaining cells? I want to select this and delete it. Instead of copying and pasting it, if you know that the previous column of your formula column is filled one, in this case the previous column is this one, this is completely filled one, just go to the formula cell and go to the bottom right corner. Keep watching the mouse very clearly. The moment I go to the bottom right corner of my formula cell, it becomes like a plus sign, which basically people use it for dragging. Instead of dragging it, we're going to simply double click. Once you double click, it automatically fills your formula till the last filled cell of the previous column, because it takes the previous column as a reference to populate your formula. All right, so now you got the different methods of getting the formula for the rest of the cells. Now let's get back to the concept what we were discussing right now. So let's go to the first cell where we wrote the formula. So how do I see the formula inside the cell itself? There are two ways. One, if you want to use the mouse, simply double click inside the cell. It starts displaying the formula of the cell, or you can press F2 in your keyboard. That will also display the formula F2, function 1, function 2, function 3. I'm talking about that F2. So when you press that, you see the formula. Now this is our first formula, correct? So when we copy pasted, we copied and pasted it vertically, my friend. Remember, vertically, because our table is vertical. So when I copied and pasted vertically, what happened here? Let's try to understand it. Let's go to the next cell. The formula was B5 minus C5. When I took it to the next cell, it became B6 minus C6. So B and C did not change in the formula, whereas the number 5 got changed to 6, meaning the row got incremented but the column kept as it is, right? So how Excel understood intelligently, and then it changed only the relevant area. It is basically looking at how this guy is copying and pasting this formula. So it understood, okay, Hari is trying to copy and paste it vertically. That means he's going to cross the rows, not the columns. Because I'm not crossing the columns, I'm crossing the row, only the row number is impacted, and he is going consecutively. He's not jumping, leaving any rows in between. Because he is going consecutively, it incremented consecutively. So 5, B5 became B6 because the cell where I copied was immediate to the formula cell. Automatically, it started to do this for the rest of the cells. Watch it, B7, C7, B8, C8. So this is a natural phenomena which happens in the Excel as and when you copy and paste the formula or drag a formula. So you don't have to do anything special here. It relatively changes the reference inside the formula based on how you are copying and pasting the formula, in which direction. Now, let's say if I'm going to copy this formula or drag this formula horizontally. So now I'm dragging it horizontally. So now see what happened here. The initial formula was B5 minus C5. But when I dragged it horizontally, when I got to the next one, see the number 5 kept as it is because Excel understood Hari is not shifting rows this time. Hari is shifting columns this time. So the B and C got incremented to C and D. And when I go to the next cell, the C and D became D and E. So you could see that this is something which happens naturally inside the Excel. So based on the place where you're copying and pasting the formula, it relatively increases that particular component. It might be the row, it might be the column. So this type of behavior is called relative referencing. That's what we have said here on the heading. But for this, you don't have to strain anything. You don't have to do any special setup for such thing. This is something which happens normally. Yeah. Sorry. So let's try to see the second type of concept called absolute referencing. Absolute. Now, what do I mean by absolute referencing? Let's take this situation here. See, it's my sales team. I set a target for my sales team. The target was 3,500. So each of these guys have done their sales, and I have noted down what is the sales these guys have done. So now I have all the 15 salesperson sales here, and I've given them the target also. Now I want to know how much percentage these guys have done related to the target, how much percentage of target they've achieved. So I want to calculate it. Let us say I want to give them incentive or an improvement plan, or I want to do something based on their performance. So I'm trying to analyze their performance. I'm trying to find out who's the best performer, worst performer, all those. So how do I find out what is the percentage of achievement? So I have the actual, I have the target. Okay, so let's start writing the formula here. Equal to, which is the cell involved, actual C7 divided by which cell? The target, which is in D5. So now C7 divided by D5, actual sales divided by my target. Okay, so when I hit enter, the answer is going to come in the form of a decimal, but I want this to be a percentage. So how do I change this to percentage, which we learned in the earlier video? So we should select that cell. We need to go to the home tab. We need to go to the number group, and here is our percentage. But remember, I told you in the last video, there's a difference between going to this percentage, because if you go to this percentage, you will not get the decimal value. It will get rounded off. If you want the decimal, then you should actually go to this drop down above the percentage symbol, and here you got the percentage with which comes along with the decimal. So it says the first guy has achieved 35.71 percentage related to target. Okay, so he has not even achieved 50%. So this is what his achievement is. Now I want to do the same thing for the rest of the guys. So it is same actual divided by the target. I wrote the first formula, and I'm going to drag this formula. Which direction? Vertical or horizontal? My table is vertical. So obviously I'm going to do vertical drag. So I can drag, double click, copy, paste, whatever you want to do, you can do it. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to just make the use of the time saver, the double click. So we go to the formula cell right hand bottom corner. Once it changes into plus sign, we just double click. Wow. Now watch it. We are actually seeing a disaster now. So what happened, bro? What happened? Well, let's try to investigate that. Okay. See, remember, don't get panicked, don't get upset, don't give up when your formulas are not working. The best way of learning is always make mistakes and correct it and learn it. Every time when you make mistake, you get an opportunity to learn something and you become expert on it. The person who never makes the mistake will never learn anything new. Yeah. All right. So we have done a mistake. So we need to find it out. Something is wrong in our formula. So let's go ahead and find it out. So I'm going to just double click on this and trying to investigate what is the issue in this formula. Okay, actual divided by the target. So C8, correct, divided by target. It says D6. That's not our target. Our target is in D5. Why it became D6? Now, which concept is playing the role? The relative referencing concept. So Excel understood, okay, Hari is going vertically, not horizontally. So I will not disturb the column, but I will disturb the row. So it incremented the row number in my formula. So what is the initial row number in my formula? It was C7 and D5. So 7 became 8 and 5 became 6. So that behavior is impacting too much in my formula everywhere. Watch this. When I go to the different formulas, it is the actual value is perfect, but whereas a target, that is completely messed up. So I'm going back to my first formula. I know that one of the cell in my formula should not change when I drag it or copy paste it. Which is that cell? C7 or the D5? Which is constant? Which has to be constant here? The D5. That has to be constant. So whenever you want to make a particular cell reference constant in your formula, because you don't want that to change when you drag it or copy paste it, you want to make that cell reference constant. You do that by getting the dollar sign on this D5. So how do I do that? I go to my formula and I select this D5 in my formula using the mouse, and I'm making sure the selection is only that cell. All I have to do is press the F4 key on my keyboard. F4 key, F1, F2, F3, F4 key on my keyboard. The moment I press it, I get this kind of dollar sign. Watch closely. 1 is before the number 5 and $1 is before the number D. So what is this dollar sign indicates is the dollar is making that particular component constant. So the dollar sign is appearing before the row number. So that means the row number is going to be constant, and the dollar sign is appearing before the column letter D. So the D is also constant. So both D and 5 now freezed, fixed, constant. So now when I hit enter and now when I double click this formula, watch it, the problem is resolved. Any formula, if I go and see it, it is always D5. It is not going to disturb the D5. So whenever you make a particular cell reference constant in your formula, that type of references, that type of cells are called absolute cell reference, my friend. Absolute cell reference. Yeah. So in this expression, 1 is a relative reference, C7 is a relative reference, whereas D5 is an absolute reference. Now, absolute reference is very, very absolutely relevant and important when you guys are going to learn formulas like VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, XLOOKUP. This is a very important area. And if you're going to build a complicated report, you cannot live without this dollar signs involvement there. Yeah, like how dollars decides the market or the economy of other countries. Here also dollar signs decides the economy or your, what do you call, the accuracy of your report of formulas. So it's very important to take care of this dollar signs. Yeah. All right. So absolute referencing we understood. So whenever you make a particular cell reference constant, it becomes absolute. How do you make it constant? By pressing the F4 key on your keyboard. Okay. So let's take the last and final referencing, which is we will be using at advanced level formula writings in our video series. So when we touch up that particular areas, you will understand these guys play a very crucial role there. Yeah. So let's go to the last sheet, the mixed referencing. Now, again, here also I have target, but not one target. I have multiple target. Okay. Again, this time it's not salesperson, it's the outlet. So let's say I'm a retail giant like Amazon, sorry, Walmart. Let's take Walmart or Target, stores like that. Or in India, we have, let's say, Reliance, Shopper Stop. Let's say these guys have multiple outlets across states, across cities. Now, each outlet, I'm just taking the sales, what has been done for the particular day or done for the particular month. But the business owners wants to know, they would have set some target and they want to know how much these guys have done for the particular country level, particular continent level, particular global level, how much these guys are performing. They would require this to study how their market, where they are strong, country level they are strong or continent level they are strong or global level they are strong. They want to analyze that. So this table, we're going to do it. Again, we have the actual sale, but I want to compare this actual with three different targets. So like we did in the earlier sheet, we can do the same formula kind of writing. So let me write this equal to actual divided by the target, country level target. But we understood last time that if I want to make a particular cell reference constant, I can make it by using the F4 key. In this case, C7 is there and D5 is there. So which one I have to keep it constant here? D7 or D5? It's D5 because that's a target. When I drag it, here I want to drag it vertically. So I don't want that D5 to change. So how do I make it constant? By pressing the F4. So we have made it constant and we're going to hit enter and we're going to bring this to percentage just like last time and we're going to double click. So we are done for the country level. Now I need to go ahead and write the same formula for the continent level. Actual divided by the target and press the F4 to make it constant. Hit enter, make it percentage, double click, fill it. I can go to the last one, equal to actual divided by the target. Make that constant by pressing F4 after selecting. Hit enter, make it into percentage. Let's go and pick and then double click. And it gets it done. So now, this is nothing new, which what we are doing here is we are simply using a relative referencing and absolute referencing together. But imagine if I have to, instead of me sitting and writing individual formula for each target, can I write one formula in the country level target column, and that one formula I should be able to copy and paste it both the directions, vertically as well as horizontally, so that I don't have to sit and write formula. All I have to do right is only one formula. I can copy and paste it across. So how do we do that? That's what we're going to go ahead and understand here. So let me go ahead and clear this. See, equal to, I select the actual, and remember, whenever you need a dollar sign, what key you will be pressing? F4, correct? So I know C7 is not to be kept constant, but just for the discussion purpose, I'm going to show you. So when you press F4, you get $2 sign. I told you last time that if the dollar sign comes before the row number, the row is constant. If the dollar sign comes before the column letter, the column is constant. So, but the F4 key, you can press multiple times. Each time you press, you get different dollar symbol combination. So first time when you press, you get $2 signs, which says the row is constant as well as the column is constant. Second time when I press, it says 7 alone is constant. C, the column is free to change. Third time when I press, now C is fixed, whereas the 7 can keep changing. Fourth time I'm pressing it, we are back to the original stage when you clicked on that cell. So we do have $2, we do have $1 combination also. So when you use only, when you do not use dollar sign, that is relative. When you have $2 sign, that is absolute. When you have only $1 sign, that's called mixed referencing. That's called mixed referencing concept. Now, mixed referencing is the one we're going to use here to simplify the formula writing. So watch it. I have two inputs here. I'm going to help you how to understand which one to freeze while we write such formula. So watch closely here. We have two inputs. What is the first input? The actual sales. The second input is my targets. So let's talk about the actuals. Where is your actuals are kept? C7, C8, C9, C10, C11. So what is repeated? C is repeated. So that means C should be kept constant, whereas the number is changing C7, C8, C9, C10. So the number should change. The row is changing, whereas the column remains constant. So I want the dollar sign which keeps only the C constant. That means the dollar sign should come before C. So I want to use the F4 key to get the dollar sign before C because I want C to be constant. Good. Divided by, let's take the target. So the target is kept in the D5. Where is the next target is kept? E5, F5. So D5, E5, F5. So the 5 is constant, not the letter. Letter is keep moving. So I want to keep the 5 constant. So when I want to keep the 5 constant, the dollar sign should appear before 5. So I'm going to use the F4 first time. No, this is not what I'm looking for because this makes both the constant. Second time, yeah, this is the one I'm looking for. So I'm going to hit enter. Because we already formatted this cell into percentage, the result automatically comes as percentage. Now I'm going to check, can I drag this vertically? First I'm going to do is something crazy. Can I drag it horizontally? Is it calculating it right? How do I cross check? Let me go to this 25% and double click on this cell. Which are the cells I should see when I double click? C7 and E5. So let's see whether we are seeing those cells here. Yes, C7 and E5. Let's go to the 8.33. There I should see C7 and F5. Are we seeing it? Yes, perfect. So that means your formula is working horizontally as well. Now all we have to do is just select these 3 cells. I'm selecting these 3 cells. I want to double click at the bottom right corner to test whether these guys are working even vertically. Let's double click. It seems it is working. So let's randomly go ahead and check 15.10. So I'm going to double click. So let us see whether it is taking the right cells for the calculation. So when I double click on this cell, which are the cells involved? C12 and 5000. Perfect. So let's go to this 6.39. Perfect. It has picked up the right cells. Let's go to some numbers here. Yes. So my dear friends, if you do not use dollar sign, it is relative. If you use $2 sign, it is absolute. If you use $1 sign, it is mixed referencing. Now, $2 sign is not a big deal because you know that this cell should never change at all. So simply going to press F4 once, job done. So absolute reference, there's no question about it. But mixed referencing, there needs a little bit of logical thinking. I gave you a technique. How do you design where the dollar sign should come? Which one should be kept constant? So all you have to look at is where your inputs are placed. Just see the cells, okay, call out the cell names. That itself will tell you which is repeating. Just make sure that alone is fixed. Yeah. So here, how did we fix only C? Because we understood the actual sales are in C7, C8, C9, C10. So C is constant. So we fixed the C. How do we fix the 5 here? 3500, 5000, 15,000, where they are kept? D5, E5, F5. So 5 is repeating, so 5 has to be kept constant. That is the technique of the design, how the dollar sign should be placed across. Yeah, so I hope in this video you guys understood why these guys are using dollar signs in the Excel formula. What's the importance of it? Why am I seeing in some formulas there is no dollar sign, in some formulas there are dollar sign, in some strange formulas there are only $1 sign? Okay, how do they decide it? Now you know the answer for those questions. Yeah, again, I'm going to give you this file. Just check out, practice, and if you got any queries, please post it on the comment section. I'll give you the explanation for it. Okay, so as usual, you got a quiz, you got the downloadable link, and I will also post the shortcut key we have used in this, which is the F4 key for the particular video. So I will also post that PDF as well. Do practice to gain the confidence. We'll meet again in another input, another video. Until then, take care of yourself. Signing off, Hariharan.